Hi there, my name is Christopher Scott. Thank you for joining me for another Basics of the Bible video. In this video, we're going to look at the book of First Kings. First Kings. So this is a series of videos I've been doing, Basics of the Bible, taken Genesis through Revelation. There's 75 different videos in a playlist down there in the description. You can watch those all for free. So thanks for joining me for these, and hope you can find them all helpful and useful for you as you study the Bible. So the book of First Kings is part of the historical books, and I'll put a link in the ID cards up there to the introduction of the historical books that I made. There are 66 books in the Bible, 39 in the Old Testament, 27 in the New Testament, and out of those 39 in the Old Testament, there are 5 books of Moses, we call the Torah or the Pentateuch, and then there are 12 historical books, and those are the books from Joshua to Esther, and First King is one of those historical books, and by historical we mean they tell history. They're telling a story with a specific intention and specific point of view that they are describing. And First Kings, I've given the one-word description for First Kings is dividing. Dividing. First Kings describes the height of the nation of Israel, but also its fall. As Solomon assumes the throne after David, King David dies and Solomon becomes king, Solomon continues to keep the people united like David did. Solomon builds a magnificent temple, and he establishes Israel as a great nation among all the other nations around them. But sadly, Solomon's heart slowly turns away from God, and his sons continue to follow that trend, which we read about in First Kings. Okay, so that's a little bit about what First Kings is about. Who is the author? We don't really know who the author of First Kings is. It never tells us. Some people believe it was somebody that was working under Solomon at that time. Some people believe it was someone writing from the exile after 586 BC somewhere in Babylon. We're not exactly sure. The audience it's written to it's written to Israel to describe them at their height and their power and the beginning of their downfall. So it's written kind of just to tell people how great Israel was and to tell them also what happened to them. Seems to be the point of it. So it was written anywhere from 931 BC is when the fall happens, or the split happens between Israel and Judah, and then they get taken away to Babylon in 586. So it could be anywhere in there. 550 BC is the date I wrote in the notes down there in the description. The dates that are covered in the book are from 970 BC, so King David rules from 1010 BC to 970 BC, and then from 970 BC to 931 BC is when King Solomon rules. And so this book of First Kings covers 970 BC to 853 BC, right in there, roughly. A key verse of the book is from 1 Kings chapter 12. I think I want to read the key verse first here based on what I want to talk about. Yeah, let's read it first. So Israel is united under King Solomon. King Solomon has made them strong and magnificent and amazing among all the other nations around them. King Solomon dies, so his son Rehoboam assumes the throne. And the key verse of the book describes what we call the split of the United Kingdom. So King David and Solomon, they ruled the United Kingdom, where the UK, we can say, they ruled the United Kingdom where all 12 tribes of Israel were united under one nation. But when Solomon dies, his son Rehoboam takes the throne in 931 BC, and Rehoboam divides the kingdom. And this is the key verse that I've written, and I think it describes the book and what it's really about, the intention of the book. Chapter 12 of 1 Kings, verse 19, it says, "So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day." Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day. And that's this split that occurs between the 10 tribes in the north in Israel, their capital city is Samaria, and the 2 tribes in the south of Judah, their capital city is Judah. And so how this happens is, like I shared, Solomon dies, Rehoboam becomes king, and these 10 leaders from these 10 tribes from the north come down to Rehoboam and say, hey, your dad Solomon, he worked us really hard. Could you make it a little bit easier on us? Could you make it lighter on us? And Rehoboam, he does something wise. He says, give me 3 days to think about it. Come back in 3 days and I will let you know my decision. Sadly, Rehoboam doesn't get good counsel and he doesn't make a good decision. I have some videos I've done on Rehoboam. I'll put up there in the ID cards. I've taught about this before. And so these guys come back 3 days later, and Rehoboam tells those 10 tribes from Israel in the north, he tells them, if you think my dad Solomon worked you hard, I'm going to work you even harder. And that's when the 10 tribes in the north say, you know what, we don't need this. We don't need to be part of you down there in Judah in the south. We're just going to go off and do our own thing. And that's where the kingdom of Israel divides and splits in 931 BC. So I got those events down there in the description of this video, some of the big events of the Old Testament. And that's what this verse is about. It says that Israel splits, they go off, and says that they're going to be in rebellion of Judah and the house of David. So after this point, after 1 Kings 12, there's 10 tribes living in the north. Their capital city is Samaria. We call that country Israel. And then there's 2 tribes in the south. We call that country Judah, and their capital city of Judah was Jerusalem. And those 2 tribes were Benjamin and Judah. Okay, so and for example, this is important because Jesus came from the tribe of Judah through David. And then when you read the New Testament, in the book of Philippians, Paul says, I was a Hebrew, I was a Pharisee, I was from the tribe of Benjamin. When Paul says that, there's a lot of meaning there because he's claiming, hey, I am from the 2 tribes in the south, the original 2 tribes. And those 10 tribes in the north, they eventually get conquered by Assyria in 722 BC, and they kind of disappear. We don't really know what happens to them. So an outline for the book I've already been mentioning to you, but the United Kingdom is about those first 11 chapters. The United Kingdom under Solomon. And then chapters 12 through 22 are about the divided kingdom. Israel in the north and Judah in the south. So that one-word description here is dividing for 1 Kings. Dividing. My name's Christopher Scott. Thanks again for watching me with this video. If you found this video helpful, I provide a monthly email newsletter where I give you links to the newest articles that I've had published in the recent month, as well as the newest YouTube videos. So there's a link in the first comment on this video where you can subscribe to that monthly email newsletter, and I promise I only send you 1 email a month. You're welcome to subscribe and get updates on these videos. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about 1 Kings, feel free to drop a comment down there in the comments, and I'd love to talk to you some more. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again soon on another video.